Why has Mars always felt so strange? The random plumes of methane, the marsquakes in the wrong places, the sudden computer glitches. We've always brushed them off as separate mysteries. But now, an AI scan of Jezero Crater has provided the one terrifying answer that connects them all. It found a single massive engine deep underground. This one discovery explains everything, and what it implies about Mars is something no one was prepared for. Hyperion's first target for decades, Mars has been the ultimate prize. We have stared at it, mapped it, and landed on it. We are, to put it mildly, obsessed with it, and no place on Mars has gotten more attention than Jezero Crater. It's a 28-mile wide scar, and as we all know, it was once a lake. Billions of years ago, a massive river cut through the crater rim and spilled into this giant basin, creating a calm, deep body of water. This is why we sent the Perseverance rover there. Its mission is simple: poke around in that ancient dried-up mud and find the chemical traces of life, fossils, the building blocks of alien biology. But here's the thing nobody tells you about this mission. It's all on the surface. The Perseverance rover, for all its amazing technology, has a drill that can only dig about 2 inches deep. It's scraping the skin of the planet. What many overlooked is that the real secrets of Mars aren't on its skin. They are buried miles deep, hidden by billions of years of dust and rock. And that is where a new kind of explorer just took its first look. This explorer isn't a rover. It doesn't have wheels or a drill. It's an artificial intelligence. Back at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, scientists have been quietly training a new neural network called Hyperion. This AI is different. Its job isn't to drive a rover, its job is data fusion. For the past 20 years, we've had missions orbiting Mars, scanning it with instruments that can see through the ground. There's the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, with its shared radar, which can see structures half a mile down. There's Perseverance's own RIMFAX radar, which maps the shallow layers. And most importantly, there's the old data from the InSight lander. You see, InSight was a seismic probe. From 2018 to 2022, it just listened. It recorded hundreds of marsquakes. Humans use that data to get a basic map of the planet's core. But Hyperion, the new AI, was designed to do something humans can't. It was programmed to take all of that data, the deep radar, the shallow radar, and the seismic echoes from hundreds of quakes, and fuse them. It was built to create a single, perfect, three-dimensional map of what lies beneath the surface. The mission was simple. Map the ancient water tables, the scientists told it, find the hidden ice. Hyperion's first test case was Jezero Crater. The AI began to crunch the numbers, pulling petabytes of information. It mapped the crater floor, mapped the layers of silt from the old lake. It went deeper, mapping the rock bed. And then it stopped. The AI flagged an error. In a section 3 miles beneath the exact center of Jezero Crater, the data was unreadable. It was a mess. The seismic waves were bending wrong. The shared radar was getting shouted down by a massive magnetic disturbance, and the thermal sensors showed a hot spot where there should be nothing but cold, dead rock. The science team, to put it simply, thought it was a glitch. They assumed it was a clutter echo, just radar signals bouncing off the steep crater rim and confusing the AI. They told Hyperion to ignore the bad data and move on, but Hyperion refused. The AI was programmed to find anomalies, and this was the mother of all anomalies. It ran the numbers again, and a third time, and a seventh time. Finally, it sent a new report to the human team. It had cleaned the data, filtered out all the clutter, and the anomaly was still there. Hyperion labeled it Priority 1, Non-Geological Coherent Energy Signature. The scientists stared at the screen. The AI had found something impossible. It was a single, stable source of energy, and it was huge. This wasn't a glitch in the system. This was a feature of the planet, one that had been hiding under our noses the entire time. This impossible feature had a signature that defied all logic. Mars isn't dead. To understand how impossible this discovery is, you have to understand why Mars is dead. You see, Earth is alive and protected because it has a global magnetic field, a shield generated by its spinning, molten iron core. Mars used to have this, but billions of years ago, its core cooled and solidified. Its magnetic shield passed away. And without that shield, the sun's solar wind blasted Mars, stripping away its atmosphere and boiling off its oceans. This is the story we've been told for 50 years. Mars is dead. Its core is a cold, solid lump. Hyperion's discovery, however, spits in the face of that story. The AI's analysis was terrifyingly specific. First, the heat. 3 miles down, it found a stable thermal signature. It wasn't a warm patch, it was hot. The AI measured it at a stable 90 megawatts. That is enough energy to power a small city. It's the energy output of a small nuclear reactor. Now, this could be a pocket of leftover magma, right? A dormant volcano. But the seismic data from InSight proved this was wrong. The rock around the anomaly was seismically rigid. That means it's cold, solid, and ancient. It is not magma. So you have a city-sized power source burning hot in a place that should be frozen solid. But the heat wasn't even the strangest part. It was the magnetism. The thing nobody tells you is that Mars's global magnetic field is almost zero. It's about 0.001% of Earth's. It's a joke. Yet Hyperion's data showed that this 90 megawatt heat source was also shouting with a powerful, localized magnetic field. It was so strong, it was warping the MRO's radar scans from 200 miles up in orbit. The AI calculated its strength. It was stronger than an MRI machine in a hospital. This is a wow factor that scientists just can't explain. On Earth, we have one thing that generates both a massive, stable, non-volcanic heat signature and a powerful, localized magnetic field. Just one. And it's not natural. We call it a fission reactor or a fusion torus. We call it technology. But the AI wasn't done. Its final report was the one that sent shockwaves through JPL. Hyperion was designed to listen for patterns, and it found one. This impossible signal wasn't just a steady hum. The magnetic field was pulsing. It wasn't a random flicker like a dying star. It was a clean, structured, mathematical pulse. The AI detected a complex 32-beat pattern. This pattern would repeat perfectly every 104 minutes. It was so precise, you could set a clock by it. This is the moment the glitch became a signal. This is the moment geology became archaeology, or something else entirely. Natural processes are random. They are messy. They don't create perfect clock-like 32-beat magnetic pulses. Intelligence does that. Design does that. The AI, in one single scan, had just confirmed that 3 miles beneath Jezero Crater, there is a massive city-sized machine, and it is still turned on. The discovery of the machine opened the door to terrifying theories. A warning left behind. Once you accept that this thing is not natural, the question changes. It's no longer what is it? It's who built it and why. This is where we enter the world of wild theories. And to put it mildly, the people watching this are looking for this mystery. The team at JPL is now running what-if scenarios, and the possibilities are mind-blowing. Wild theory number 1, the ghost beacon. This is the most popular and most hopeful theory. Billions of years ago, Mars was a living planet, just like Earth. It had oceans, a thick atmosphere, and, very likely, a civilization. But they were advanced. They saw the end coming. They watched their planet's magnetic field flicker and pass away. They knew the solar wind was about to strip mine their entire world. They couldn't save themselves, but they could leave a message, a tombstone for the universe. So they built this thing, a black box, a beacon. They buried it 3 miles deep in solid bedrock to protect it from any asteroid impact. They gave it a power source, this 90 megawatt battery designed to last for billions of years. And the pulse. That's the message. We were here. It's an indestructible SOS from a passed-away world, waiting for someone to finally dig it up. Wild theory number 2, the terraforming engine. This one is even crazier. What if this machine wasn't a tombstone? What if it was a tool? What many overlooked is that Jezero Crater has a lake. What if the river didn't create the lake? What if the machine did? Think about it. You have a 90 megawatt reactor buried under the ground. What is it heating? The ice. Mars is covered in massive buried glaciers of frozen water. This machine, according to the theory, was a terraformer, an engine designed to melt the subsurface ice, heat it to create a massive hydrothermal system, and pump that warm water to the surface to create lakes. The Jezero River wasn't a river at all, it was the exhaust pipe for this engine. And the reason Mars is dead, the machine failed. It's stuck in standby mode, pulsing, but its main job is over. Wild theory number 3, the doomsday weapon. This is the dark one. This is the theory that keeps scientists up at night. What if this thing wasn't built by Martians? What if it was put there by something else? An outside intelligence? Think about it. Mars had life. It had oceans. And then, suddenly, it was wiped clean. What if this machine is the weapon that did it? What if it was designed to destroy Mars's magnetic field, a planetary-scale disruption device? And it's not broken, it's waiting. The pulse isn't a message, it's a timer or a warning, a keep-out sign for the rest of the solar system. Of course, there is the safe theory, the let's not get crazy theory, that it's just a bizarre new natural process, a piezomagnetic effect, where the stress of the rock creates a charge, or a massive concentrated vein of radioactive ore, somehow generating a pulse. But the thing is, this safe theory just doesn't fit the facts. It doesn't explain the cleanliness of the heat. It doesn't explain the strength of the magnetic field. And it definitely doesn't explain the perfect, repeating 32-beat pulse. But the AI's final analysis suggested a truth more shocking than any machine. A new kind of life Mars, the red planet, the silent graveyard of our solar system. For centuries, we have stared at its dusty, rust-colored face and asked one question: are we alone? It's the ultimate mystery, and for decades, we've sent our best and brightest to find the answer. We sent the Viking landers, which scooped up soil and gave us nothing. We sent Sojourner, Spirit, and Opportunity, robotic pioneers that roamed the plains, finding blueberries of rock and signs of ancient, long-dead water. Everything we found pointed to one tragic conclusion: Mars was once like Earth. It had oceans, it had an atmosphere, it had all the ingredients for life, but something went horribly wrong. The planet's core cooled, its magnetic field died, and the solar wind stripped it bare. Mars today is a tomb, a planet-sized memorial to a life that might have been. We've been searching for fossils, for tiny petrified microbes in the rock. We've been looking for the past. In 2020, we sent our most advanced explorer yet, Perseverance, a 1-ton nuclear-powered science lab on 6 wheels. And we sent it to the most promising place we could find, Jezero Crater, an ancient, dried-up river delta, a place that billions of years ago was a massive, rushing lake. It was the perfect place to dig for ghosts, the perfect place to find a definitive, final, dead answer. But what if we were looking in the wrong place? What if we were looking for the wrong thing? What if the greatest discovery in human history isn't a fossil? What if it's alive? And what if for the last several years, we've been making it very, very angry? The mission was simple: land in Jezero, drill into the ancient lake bed, collect core samples, seal them in tubes, and leave them for a future mission to bring back home. It was geology. It was archaeology. But while Perseverance was drilling on the surface, a different set of instruments was looking down. Orbiters using powerful new ground-penetrating radar were scanning deep beneath the planet's crust. They weren't looking for water, they were mapping the planet's heat. And that's when they found it. In a quiet sector of Jezero Crater, miles away from the rover's landing site, the scans showed an anomaly. It was impossible. First, there was the heat. A massive, concentrated thermal signature glowing 3 miles beneath the surface. This wasn't a pocket of residual geothermal warmth. This was hot. The readings were staggering. A stable localized output of 90 megawatts. 90 megawatts, that's not geology. That's a small-town power plant. Then, they found the pulse. The heat signature wasn't steady, it was throbbing. It was a structured, repeating, electromagnetic pulse. It was not random, it was a clear 32-beat pattern, a rhythmic thump, 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 that repeated every 47 minutes. Scientists were baffled. This broke every model we have of Mars. The planet is supposed to be geologically dead, but here, 3 miles down, was a mystery that was very, very live. The first theory was the obvious one, the one that got everyone in the ancient aliens community excited. It was a machine, a relic, a massive nuclear reactor built by a long-dead Martian civilization, A billion years ago, they ruled the planet. They saw the end coming. They built this ark underground, a power source to keep their knowledge, their civilization, alive, but they failed. They died out. And this was their tombstone, a nuclear battery still running on fumes, powering a long-dead city. It was a fantastic, romantic idea. We had found it. We had found the proof. A 90-megawatt keep-out sign from a lost world. But the theory had a problem. A big one. The pulse. A reactor doesn't pulse. A power source hums. It provides a steady, constant flow of energy. This thing beat. 32 precise clicks like a cosmic metronome. Why? Why would a machine do that? Was it a signal? A beacon? A countdown clock? Human analysts ran the pattern through every computer. They compared it to pulsars, to quasars, to every known natural phenomenon. It matched nothing. It wasn't a message. It was too simple, just a repeating thump. But it wasn't natural. It was too complex, too structured. The team was stuck. They were staring at the single greatest discovery in history, and they had no idea what it was. So they did what any 21st century scientist does when they're out of options. They turned it over to an AI. They called it Hyperion, a non-human intelligence tasked with one goal: find the source. They fed it everything: the thermal data, the magnetic field readings, the radar scans of the subsurface structure, and most importantly, the pulse. The full, unedited multi-terabyte file of that strange 32-beat rhythm. Hyperion began to work. It wasn't looking for aliens. It had no concept of civilizations or machines. It just looked at the data. And this is the part of the story where we have to talk down to earth. Are we missing a key detail? We are people watching this looking for a mystery. We're thinking about little green men. We're thinking about ancient aliens and spaceships and reactors. And why? Because we are human. We are carbon-based biological beings. We are, to put it simply, squishy. We build things. We use tools. So when we find a structured energy source, we assume it must be a machine. But the AI, Hyperion, offered one final chilling analysis. It didn't think it was a machine. The AI had no concept of aliens. It just looked at the data. And its final label for the signal was the most terrifying of all: complex, non-biological, coherent. That one word, coherent, changes everything. Coherent means it's not just a repeating pulse. It means the pulse itself has information. It's not a beat. It's a language. The signal isn't on or off. It's modulating. The AI detected subtle, complex shifts in the frequency and amplitude of that 32-beat pattern. It was, in a word, thought. This leads to the final and most profound theory. What if the anomaly isn't a machine at all? What if it is the life we've been looking for? We've been searching for biological life, little microbes in the mud, carbon, water, squishy things like us. But what if life can evolve in other forms? What if, in a world of intense cold, crushing pressure, and deadly radiation, life didn't evolve from carbon and water, but from silicon and energy? What if 3 miles beneath Jezero Crater there is a massive, living, crystalline brain, a being that evolved over 1 billion years, feeding on the geothermal heat of the planet? A life form that doesn't move, but thinks, in magnetic pulses. A slow, cold, patient intelligence. The 90-megawatt heat signature isn't its power source. It's its metabolism. It's a warm-blooded mind the size of a football stadium, running hot. The pulse isn't a message, it's its heartbeat. This is the wow factor that reframes everything. Suddenly, all the weirdness on Mars makes sense. It's not a dozen separate mysteries. It's one. Those random, unexplained plumes of methane that we've seen from orbit. The ones that just puff into the atmosphere and then disappear. What if that's this thing breathing? A slow metabolic exhale that happens once a century. Those marsquakes that the InSight lander heard. The ones that came from the wrong places geologically. The ones that didn't make sense. What if that's this being shifting in its sleep? And what about the really wild theories? Think about the face on Mars in Cydonia. We all dismissed it. We saw the high-res photos. We were told it was just pareidolia, a trick of light and shadow on a natural mesa. But what if? What if it's not a face? What if it's a vent, a massive structured chimney engineered from the rock itself, built by this vast intelligence to help regulate its 90-megawatt metabolism, a pressure release valve for a living god? Think about the moons, Phobos and Deimos. For decades, scientists have been baffled by Phobos. It's not a solid rock. It's hollow. Its orbit is too stable, too perfect. It doesn't look like a captured asteroid. The math just doesn't work. What if it isn't? What if this crystalline intelligence, this ancient Martian mind, is aware of the solar system? What if, millions of years ago, it sensed the danger from the skies? Asteroids, comets, the constant rain of death that scarred the planet. What if Phobos isn't a moon? What if it's a shield? A piece of manufactured hardware, hollowed out and placed in orbit by this entity as a defensive measure. A massive orbital bodyguard for a creature that lives 3 miles down, a creature that can think but cannot move. Think about the planet-wide dust storms. They appear from nowhere. They enshroud the entire globe, blinding our rovers and orbiters for months. What if they aren't weather? What if they're an immune response? A planetary fever designed to sneeze, to clear contaminants off the surface. A defensive reaction to us. And that is the most terrifying part. We sent the Perseverance rover to Jezero Crater, the exact spot. We are driving around right on top of it. We have been drilling into the rock, sending shock waves and vibrations down. What if our exploration is just noise? What if for the last few years we haven't been exploring? What if we've just been annoying it? The AI didn't find a tombstone from the past. It found a landlord that's been living in the basement. And we've just been stomping on the floor. We went to Mars looking for a fossil. We found a mind. We went looking for a microbe. We found a god. We have been poking and prodding a billion-year-old planet-sized intelligence with a robotic stick. And here's the final question, the one that should keep every scientist, every general, and every human on Earth awake at night. We've been drilling into its home. We've been making a racket. What happens when it finally decides to stomp back? We went looking for microbes and found a god. Is this being the reason Mars is so empty? Or is it just the only thing that survived? Let us know. Like and subscribe.